What do you mean no?
We're not live yet. Now!
Oh. Hi, I'm Steve Ferrone. This is Game Changers, and I'm here with Vicki Abelson. I got to ask you a lot of questions tonight.
All right, Steve's in the house, as you can see. That wasn't exactly
I
what...
got my veteran's hat on.
He's got, and while we're doing that, I just want to give a shout out to Rick Smolke. He's the guy. Rick Smolke do you ever need anything printed? Like, do you have business cards? You don't need business cards. You're like a drummer. You don't need anything printed. Everything's online.
Nothing.
But some people need things printed. Look at these cool things. You'll be on my next tissue box. And I have these very cool bookmarks. And Rick does all kinds of corporate things. But if you need anything done, Rick Smolke of Quick Impressions in Chicago is like the best. I am. He's my guy, and he is such a fan of yours. And Rick is like the nicest guy that ever was.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, Hope, would you do me a favor? There's a thing of hairspray on the table in there, and I forgot to bring it in, and it says "fuck off" on it.
You had to bring up hairspray. You had to bring up the hair.
I'm sorry. All right, we're going to talk about that. Thank you so much. So we have Hope George is with us today. Pete's lovely daughter. Pete is here, and we'll get them on camera. I should have brought you. Come on, say hello, Hope. Look at our beautiful. No, you don't. You look beautiful. Look at Hope George. She's gorgeous. This is the daughter of Pete. Come here, Pete. Let's get everybody in. We'll get the whole mishpuch in. There's Pete George is here.
Hey.
What gig you got, Pete?
Headlining the Avi Casino in Laughlin on April 5th, and then a few other places, but I can't remember right now.
Okay, so thank you for.
Of course.
We love that. Thank you for bringing me the hairspray.
Laughlin.
Okay.
You going to Laughlin?
Yeah, I'm going to Laughlin. Yeah, Laughlin, Nevada.
So aside from Rick, all right. So
She
now,
doesn't know what to do.
All right, you can go now.
Hairspray.
So look at the name of the hairspray, though. Right? Okay, so it's Hair Crush Love, and it's Fuck Off. And this is Nicole Venables, the coolest hairdresser in the world, who is going to be dressing me on Saturday, because I need it bad. But anyway, fabulous.
So do you say things, you give that to somebody, you say go fuck off yourself?
There you go.
Sounds very Italian.
Go fuck.
Go fuck off of yourself.
So
Why are you calling my dog fuck off?
So now last time. So what happened, Steve? Steve was supposed to be here about 6 weeks ago. Pete and I are sitting here.
I forgot.
And you just forgot.
But
come on.
I have no excuse.
But you
I have no excuse. I don't even know what I was doing. I just forgot. And then I was just messing around, and then I looked at and I thought, let me get, and I went to my calendar and I went, So I called.
He literally called 1 minute after Pete and I went off the air, which was fabulous timing.
And you were pissed. You were so pissed.
No, I was really.
Yeah, you gave me that I have never. You gave me the I have never talk.
Well, no one
I
ever.
have never had this happen to me before. Nobody's ever done this to me.
No one ever has. Wait, I'm looking to see who's here. Okay, no one had ever done it. I don't know. Hi, Delson. That's an interesting name that you have there, Delson. I've never heard that name before.
Oh,
No,
that's
that's
Gelson.
the wrong thing. That's Gelson's. That's right. So, all right. So, Steve.
Yeah.
You've never done that for a gig, I'm sure.
I did do it on purpose.
No, I know you didn't do it on purpose, but I mean, have you ever missed a gig because you just forgot?
No.
You
But
would never.
I almost missed a gig once because I misread a flight itinerary. I got the AM PM thing mixed up. But I made the gig.
You made the gig.
Only just. It actually had started. I missed one song. With Jeff Golub. You remember Jeff Golub?
I was going to ask you. I love Jeff Golub.
Everybody loved Jeff Golub. What was not to love? He was a great
He was
guy.
such a sweetheart.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And we played this.
Wait a minute. So they played the first song without a drummer?
They played the first. No, they had somebody else. Somebody else got to sit in, and then I went.
Because I was going to say
I sort of rolled up and grabbed the glory. So, and also we were talking earlier that you're a sober gentleman. I'm a sober woman, and you don't miss your morning meeting either, do you? No, I'm a daily meeting goer. So, and tell the people what time you go to your meeting. At 7:15 in the morning on weekdays. Well, they would argue about that because I'm usually late, but I'm actually it's my job to be late. It's my job to be late too. Yeah, because where I go to, it's like
I show up late and then I share for a long time.
You're my kind of meeting guy.
And some people say, well, I showed up late, where's he allowed to say anything?
Yeah, I'm that guy too.
Yeah,
I do that too.
My job to do that.
Scott Krantz, do you know Scott from New York?
No.
He was he worked all the clubs. Yeah.
He did? He probably threw me out of a couple.
I don't know why I can't get this thing to work. It's making me crazy. All right, so you get up at 7:30 in the morning, no matter what the gig, no matter what the party.
I usually get up at 6 in the morning.
You get up at 6 in the
No
morning.
matter what.
Why do you get up at 6 in the morning?
I just wake up. And
It's
the sun
just your-
comes up. I see the sun, windows, so I can see the sun, and it wakes me up.
And so what do you do at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I have a cup of tea,
Okay.
maybe some toast,
Mm-hmm.
watch BBC a little bit, see how Brexit's going, and wander around the house.
Do you
Emails.
meditate?
I have not really.
I'm a terrible meditator.
No. There's a thing on.
Calm. I have calm.
There's a 3-minute meditation on here that I can do if I feel like.
I do the daily but you know Moby just released music he released an entire album just for the app Calm to help put people to sleep, and I have a lot of trouble going to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, Moby's like sort of electronic music.
I know,
But-
Moby. I heard him on the radio once. I
He's
was
so
very disappointed in him.
Really?
Yeah.
Why so?
Well, okay, yeah, I don't know if Moby's watching your podcast, and maybe he is, but I'd be happy to explain it to him. You know,
I want to hear.
he said this thing about small movie makers. He was talking about he knew a lot of independent filmmakers that had small budgets, like $1 million or something like that, and they needed music, and they were complaining about having to pay musicians music to do this thing. So what he did was he created a site for them where they could just go and get their music for free. Well, basically, there's a lot of people that make money.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, all right, I see it from two sides.
And you know, movie makers tend to wait until the last minute to think, oh, this would look great if we had the right music, and then they don't want to pay anybody to do it. So it's kind of like their own fault. You know? I think maybe you should have educated them a little bit more about putting aside a little budget for me. Not a huge budget, but a little budget. Musicians help people out.
Okay, I totally see your point. When I heard Moby talk about it, I thought that was a really cool thing because I know a lot of independent filmmakers. But I get it, and you guys are kind of getting screwed all over the
not
place.
that Moby really cares about what I think.
Well, no, but I can't get this to do this. But you have a very valid point that musicians, it's hard enough. This is just not where I get. Nothing's happening. I'm
Hey,
touching
I'm there
it.
in the past.
We're there, but I can't get it to like do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. So we're just gonna
Leave it. It's going now. Anyway.
It's going anyway.
We're doing it.
I can see over here who's hanging. Oh, there's a huge fan of yours.
Really?
I want to say hi to Britt Marie Trace. Hi, Britt.
Hi.
Britt Marie, she's a huge fan of the Heartbreakers, like huge. And when she saw that you were going to be on, she got really excited. And my cousin Sherry's on. Hi.
You know, the Heartbreakers had what we call the Petty Nation. She's probably Petty Nation.
She's she is.
You know, we love you. That's one of the things I gotta say. The Petty Nation. was
Hardcore fans,
and
millions,
and so supportive, and I would say that they were very caring, loving to us when Tom passed. They weren't overly dramatic. They were just really solid. You know, they show up and you know, not a whole bunch of like fake stuff went on. It was just like really wonderful. I really loved it.
I wasn't going to start here because I was going to get to it, but since we're here now, so that's a heartbreaker and a life changer for you.
Absolutely, 25 years.
I can't even. Did you see that coming?
No, not at all. No. It was. Benmont called me actually on the Sunday night. I'd gone to bed early. I was in San Francisco. I got in bed early, and I wake up. Sometimes I sleep about 4 hours, and then I wake up, and then I watch the TV for a bit and go back to sleep. And I flipped on the TV, and there was the horrific shootings happening in Las Vegas. And I was,
it was that day.
Yeah, that night, and I'm sitting there stunned watching this, and I couldn't believe the sound of the guns, just the sound of it, and it must have been like shooting into pea soup. You can't miss any. You got to hit something.
Right.
It stunned me completely, and I'm sitting there. My phone rang, and it was charging across the room in this hotel room, and I thought, oh, it's just somebody from England calling up. Are you there? Continue.
Oh, wondering that if you were in Vegas, you mean?
Too much drama. And then it stopped ringing and started ringing again immediately, and that piqued my curiosity as to who that was. And then I went over and I looked, and it was Benmont. So I answered the phone and said, "Hey Ben, and he said something about somebody that had a heart attack and gone, and I heard it, but it didn't register." Mm-hmm. And I was trying to grasp who it was that had happened. And Ben's wife was pregnant, Alice, and I said, "Alice had a heart attack," and he said, "No, Tom is gone." And that was the beginning of hell.
How do you even?
You don't. I mean, it just didn't seem. It was very hard to. It just didn't compute, because the last time I saw him was after the.
I was going to say how much before that.
It was the week before we did the Hollywood Bowl, and.
Right! I know a lot of people that were there then.
Yeah, and then we went up to. I went up to his hotel with me and my girlfriend and some friends of Dana was there, and a couple of friends from Malibu was there. Mm-hmm. Dean, Tom's security guy, and
everything was normal. Everything was fine.
Everything was normal. It was more than. I tell you what, it wasn't normal. I have never seen him so happy after a tour. I've never seen him. He was just like. He just loved it. Normally Tom at the end of a tour was like, "That's it, I'm never doing that again."
That's probably something a lot of people say.
And then he'd go to his house and he'd wander around in his bathrobe for a couple of months, and then he'd finally turn around and say, "Yeah, let me see that guitar over there," and he'd start writing songs, and the process would start again. But this time he was like, get my hip fixed, and because he was really in a lot of pain, and he'd been through a lot. And I used to help him up on the stage every night. We'd go up on the stage, and he'd have his arm around me, and he was putting his weight on me, help him get him up onto the stage. And we were talking on the way up there. I don't know what people thought we were talking about, but I'm like, "You good for the next step?" And he's like, "Just get me up there and we'll rock," And
then he gets up there and he's fine.
He got up there, and then he'd work,
Yeah.
and hard. Mm-hmm. He never did anything. There was never cruised. That band, nobody in that band cruised, and he used to make sure we were all well rested and ready to play, and it was just one of a kind.
He was really lovely to me. I met him one night on Facebook. It was in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And he happened to be on Facebook, and we started chatting on Messenger and just about music and the clubs and the whole thing. And he was just a regular guy. He was just a guy.
I have a funny story about when Tom first got introduced to computers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, Tom, he was really not Mr. Digital.
Okay.
And very analog, even with these guitars and everything was like very, very old school analog. Get the sound and he got introduced to computers and he had this computer and he came up. I went to rehearsal one day, and he said to me, he said, "I got up last night, go to the bathroom, I walked past the computer. It spoke to me." It said you got mail. Yeah. It's like, no, talking to him. How dare it?
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. Do you have? Okay, so before I ask you how you, because now we're gonna have to go backwards, but do you have a favorite Tom story? Like, did you have a favorite show with him? Were there iconic moments with him?
Every single one. That band. I called Ryan Ulate, our engineer, yesterday, and we were talking about like life today, and he was talking about like how privileged we were to have been involved in the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers for that amount of time. We were spoiled because it was totally creative. It wasn't sit back on the, Lord knows Tom had plenty of laurels to sit back on and just he could have performed greatest.
Right.
He could have done a whole show with the songs that he didn't play, and still had big hits and
right.
But he I remember him saying once, he said, I'm an artist, and I'm not going to stop being an artist, and I'm not just going to go out and do this, just do the greatest hits. I do give them something they like in the beginning, and give them something they know at the end, and in the middle we're going to make some music. And so he was absolutely fearless with that.
That's wonderful.
Doing, he'd throw in a cover of somebody, and sometimes he would just go off of and say, okay, we'll just start playing something that wasn't even on the list. And
I love that.
And then he'd do like a 4-song set of a new album in the middle of the show. Mm-hmm. And he was
there aren't too
fearless
many people of our generation that do that.
Would take that risk.
Absolutely not.
But he was convinced, and his songs were good, and great songs. He wrote great songs, it was just an amazing. I can't really to home in on one concert, to home in one experience. I mean, I can talk maybe about eras that were really memorable, and that was when we started to record at the clubhouse, what we called the clubhouse, we'd just go every once in a while. We'd work maybe 3 months or 3 months, maybe 4 months, and then we were done with our touring for a while. And then sooner or later, Tom said, "Let's just get together at the clubhouse and play, just to blow off the cobwebs." And we get together and we play, and we just go over there and jam and just enjoy ourselves. And then he started to record the Pro Tools rig in the monitor board and basically doing demos. Come up with an idea for a song, and then he turned around to me one day, and we were talking. He said, I really like what we're getting here. He said, I'm going to go and write some more stuff. We get back together maybe 3-4 weeks, and I said, okay, no problem. And we all went off our different separate ways, and came back, got a call, go back 4 weeks later, and walk into what was basically at that point was just a warehouse with all the equipment in there. It was all the guitars and stuff. You've seen photographs of it, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. All the guitars around, and we'd set the drums up in the middle, and there was an office and a bedroom for Bugs would sleep if he was doing some work there, putting a lot of stuff together. He'd sleep in the office there, one of the rooms was now a studio. I mean, he built a studio, in something that took me months to put together. He put together 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks. It was all there and ready to go. Wow. With the cameras up and everything. Wow. And then we started to record, which was kind of unusual, without headphones. He would use headphones, but we would have monitors, so we could just play as a band in a room,
as if you were doing a show. Yeah,
well, or just as we were jamming. That was it, and it was just an incredible musical experience. It was just live music, just played live music.
Wow.
Yeah, it was no frills, just the last two albums that we did are sort of a testament to that. It was,
and how phenomenal that the last tour made him so happy and joyful.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was his 40th anniversary. I know the band was just really. It was a machine. You know, it was just something that.
Okay, so how did you meet Tom? How did that happen?
Well, I was playing with George Harrison.
Okay, this is I got asked to please. Jolene Aaron said, please talk about George Harrison. So before you talk about how you met Tom, you have to tell Jolene, because I promised Jolene that you would talk about George. And how did you meet George? How did that happen?
I met George when I was playing with Eric.
And you are just such a goddamn name dropper. Oh my God. And I was telling you before we went live that I saw you play with Eric at the Brendan Byrne or whatever, and I came with Phoebe Snow in like 1988 or something, and you immediately said, oh, I had a bad show there. Like, the fact that you can remember that is crazy.
There was one bad show and that was
okay, so
really
we have
show.
to step back again. So before we get to George, before we get to Tom, how'd you meet Eric?
I met Eric years ago when I was with Average White Band.
We're going to talk about that too. I saw you do that too. That was in the 70s. Oh God, I'm aging myself.
I was average and they were white.
Yes, you were not
so I
white.
was in Average White Band and Eric showed up. I showed up to one of our gigs once and I just met him briefly. Hi, how you doing? That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was playing with Duran Duran. I started to play with Duran Duran. And I was the world's oldest teen idol at that point. And
you were pretty young then. That was a long time ago.
I was 35. That was a bit past being a teenager.
Well, I guess they were. Well, those guys were probably in their 20s, right?
Yeah. I was still in their 20s at that point. And it was Geldos knighthood party at the Hard Rock Cafe in London. And I went there with Duran, and it was full of all these bands were there. Every band in London was there, and I showed up with the Durans. And,
with the Durans.
And I was in there in this party because I love a party.
I imagine this was pre-sobriety.
Oh yes, pre-sobriety.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm standing there hanging out at this party, and Phil Collins comes up. And he said, "Hey Steve, how you doing?" I said, "Fine, fine." He said, "Did you ever meet Eric Clapton?" And I said, "Well, I met him once a long time ago." And he said, "Well," he said, come over and meet him again." So I go over this table and I sit down, meet Phil, Eric, and there was someone else, and I don't know who that was. And we were sitting there, we had a brief conversation, little talk, chit chat, blah 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 blah. And a couple of weeks later, my phone rang and it was somebody from Eric Clapton's office and said, "Do you wanna do a couple of gigs? Eric's gonna do a couple of gigs, you know. Would you like to play with him?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that would be fun. I could play with Eric."
I'm assuming that, like the rest of us, you were a Cream fan, and all of that was real, or not?
Yeah, I've never been like a massive Ginger Baker fan.
Okay.
I admire the stuff, some stuff that he's done. I like some of the stuff.
Too
that he's done.
busy for you?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not really just not a fan of his playing. I mean, it's just a question of taste. I mean, he's done some, Sunshine of Your Love, when he played that stuff, Can't Find My Way Home. There's stuff that he's done, signature stuff that you just can't not play. But as far as being one of my favourite drummers, no, he wasn't one of my favourite drummers.
Who are?
I guess I started like Ringo and Charlie Watts, and that was John Bonham came a lot later. Back in those days, the first time I ever heard anybody play with real syncopation was Bernard Purdie.
And now, were you already playing when you heard when?
Yeah, I was like 13 or 14 years old. I went and played on American bases when America had army bases in. When America had army bases in France, and I go over there and I play there on the army bases with a local group from Brighton.
Okay, so we're going all over the place, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So from what I know, you didn't start out as a drummer. You started out like dancing?
I was a tap dancer.
You were a tap dancer.
Yeah. From when I was 3.
Okay, so now I leap, shuffle, ball change. So how did that happen?
Well, I used to sit in a high chair and I used to bang the spoon. We had a radio, we didn't have TV.
Really?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, it's we didn't
Okay,
have
that blows my mind.
We didn't have TV. We didn't have a telephone.
Wow.
We didn't have, you know, I was talking to. I did an interview. A friend of mine his daughter had a thing that she was doing for school, and her and a friend of hers came over to my studio and they interviewed me and they were asking me about this stuff and they were like, wow, you didn't have no TV, no telephone. Boy, I mean, so you had nothing to do.
Well, because kids today don't know about going outside and playing.
Going outside and playing.
Because there's no going outside.
My mum's like, get outside and play,
Yeah.
come on at 8 o'clock. And when I say 8 o'clock, it better be 5 to 8. Not 1 minute past 8 o'clock or you don't go out tomorrow. That was it. You know? But
Did you have siblings? What kind of siblings?
only child.
Only child.
Yeah.
And okay, so you're in the high chair and you're banging.
And
with
I'm
the
banging my
spoons.
spoon. And in time with the radio.
When you're a little kid.
Yeah. And they said, well, we got to do something with him. So they made me tap dance.
And did you like that?
I love tap dancing. I was really good at it.
So how long did you do that?
Until I was 12, and then I got a job doing it professionally in a children's chorus in a show. You had to be 12 years old to get on stage. And my parents took me down to audition for this show, and I got into it. And I was in this children's chorus, and I was up there and we were doing this twist song, and I looked down into the orchestra pit and I saw the drummer, and I saw him going, how's he doing that?
Really? Is that the first time that you...
Yeah. And
Wow.
so I went up and I learned how to do it. Got my motor skills together.
Okay, but now you're blowing my mind because from what I also heard, you opened for The Who when you were 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you go from the stage tap dancing to seeing somebody doing this to opening for The Who?
Well, okay, so the Who. I started to pitter pat around with the drums,
Okay.
and then
No lessons?
no, and then I used to go to this. There was a ballroom called the Regent Ballroom in Brighton, and Saturday mornings they would have this thing where kids, what we used to do, we used to go dancing. So little kids used to get dropped off there, and then in the evenings it was the older kids who used to go.
So they didn't have booze there when the little kids were there?
No, you
Right.
had Coca-Colas and stuff.
Right.
So we sort of, I guess we could act like adults. And I used to go dance. Me and my friends used to go dance with the girls, but we never got really any action at all. It was, they'd like to dance with us, but no action.
Action, you're 12.
Yeah.
Although I was seeing action
The
soon
hormones
after.
had already started at 12.
I was seeing action soon after. Hope you didn't hear that. It was different times then.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Well, they were.
Well, yeah.
Come on, it was different. Yeah. There was no AIDS, there was no herpes, there was none of that stuff.
No, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. There was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we, as much as I said that I was sexually active, I was lying.
Oh
I just told like massive whopping lies and everybody believed.
boy. Okay, now your girlfriend has a question.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. But there are questions if you'd like. Somebody wanted to know how was reporting with the Bee Gees.
All right.
Oh, okay. We're
Okay.
gonna get to that.
All right, wait. We're gonna get to it. Thank you for asking that. But before we get to the Bee Gees, who asked that question, Pete?
Delson Ross.
Okay, so
You just passed him.
Delson's been here since the beginning. Delson, I promised you we're gonna get to that question, but I just want to hear how this thing happened with the, because we're all over the place. But I want to hear how this thing
So
happened.
we're up there in this dance hall
Yeah.
with my friends.
Mhm.
And Manfred Mann's Earth Band were playing that night, and they came and set up their equipment, and they played a little set for us
Little kids.
little kids. I mean, they're doing their sound check, I guess.
Oh, right,
They
right.
kill two birds with one stone. Play for some little kids. They do a sound check. They get to play in front of a live audience, see how it sounds in the lead. Every little girl in the place went completely crazy, like screaming.
Oh, so it was a pussy chase.
That was it. So I turned around to my friends and I said, That's it. That's what we're gonna do.
No action with the dancing. We're gonna do that.
No. So we started playing, and we got one of those.
Did you have a kit?
I had like a makeup kit. It was like a kid's, like a toy kit, and my grandma bought.
No, stop. With a toy kit you opened for the Who?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No. But actually, I can tell you what I have a picture. I have a photograph.
All right, find the photograph. I'm going to say hello to people while you're finding the photograph.
Well,
Dilson, wait, throw out an answer to Dilson while you're looking for the photograph.
How was it
about the
recorded
Bee
with the
Gees.
Bee Gees? It was fantastic.
I love the Bee Gees
I
so
had a
much.
ball.
Oh
I
my
had a
God.
terrific time.
What years when was that?
I had no idea what year that was.
But it was like in the 70s? Was it the 70s?
No,
It was
I think it was the
later?
90s.
Oh, the 90s.
80s
Oh,
and 90s.
was it after Saturday Night Fever?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Okay.
we recorded in London.
Hi, Ross. Hi, Sean. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Steve. Hi,
It was
Karen.
Drums.
Hi, Dilson.
Did you see Diego from watching from Rio live?
Nice.
Yeah. What
Hi,
is your
John
favorite
Green.
Brazilian artist?
Your favorite Brazilian artist?
Simone.
There you go.
Tony D, Freddie, Penny. Hi, Penny. Hi, Gary. Hi, Freddie.
She's
Hi,
fantastic. She's so
Dana.
sexy. Simone is just amazing.
Gary. I'm just saying hi to everybody while you're looking for the picture.
You're gonna
Okay,
see.
so now wait. So you're going to show me the kit that you were playing on, but
I
hi,
show-
Sherry.
I show you my first gig. I have a photograph of my first gig.
Okay, so your first gig, you're 12. Seriously?
Yeah.
So now wait. You haven't taken a lesson. All you've done is kind of you taught yourself how to play a kit.
I taught myself how to play, and we used to play Saw Standing There. That was about all I knew how to play. and then this.
Did the Beatles when the okay? So what year the Beatles broke in London in England before they broke for us?
Yeah.
So how old are you when the Beatles break?
62, 12.
So you're like 12, and is that the first time that like that kind of music, that pop music? Like what music were you into when you were a little kid?
Standards with tap dancing.
Right.
You know, I used to tap dance to the standards.
So
Okay, there I am. Look, my
Okay.
first gig.
oh,
12 years. I've got a bow tie on, and then look at that drum kit.
wait, Pete, can you see this through there?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the flames.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now how'd you get the kit?
Well, this was the thing was that these
This
guys,
is crazy.
these guys.
Look at you. You look 5.
I know.
You're like this big.
Teeny weeny.
Well, you're tiny.
And they're dancing. Look, they're there.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're dancing. Are you
So-
playing I Saw Her Standing There? Is that what
No.
you're playing? Oh.
This was a blues. There was a blues
Oh,
band.
okay.
Well, what happened was this kid, the one kid that I played with that had a real guitar, he used to go and hang out in the music stores.
Okay.
Because he had a real guitar, so he would go and hang out with these.
What does a
music-
real guitar mean?
Well, he had a real guitar. I mean, I had this toy drum kit. The other guy had a T box with a stick in it and a piece of string to play bass.
Stop.
Like skiffle group, yeah. And this other kid, he had a real. His parents had bought it. Yeah, his parents had a garage, so he had money. Well, they had money, and he bought money. He bought them. They bought him a guitar, and his dad had got
Was it
an
an
old,
electric guitar?
yeah.
Okay.
He got an old record player and made it into an amplifier so he could plug in the front of this record player, and we played. So he used to hang out at the music stores, and there was all these older kids, these big kids would go there, and he heard these kids talking about like they needed to find a drummer because their drummer had needed to have his appendix out or something. They had to go to hospital, and they had a gig, and they needed to have a drummer to do this gig. And this friend of mine said, "I know somebody who can do it." And they said, "Well, who's that?" And they said, "I know this black kid can play the drums." So he came, no telephone. He came round to my house, right?
Oh my
And he said,
God.
"Hey, listen, there's these big kids, and they got a band, and they want you to go and try out, and play with them." You know, I said, "When? I come over? Can you go over tonight?" I said, "Well, can I go?" And she said, "Okay, be back at 8:00." So I go over to this house. And
Do you know music? Do you know enough songs to even?
anything?
They-
Well,
no.
I just know I know songs. I mean, you know,
Okay.
I know songs. I used to listen to Radio Luxembourg and stuff.
Okay.
And I sit down and I start playing with this band, and they say, okay, and we did that gig.
What would you remember? What songs you were playing to audition?
No.
Like blues? It was just.
It was
like
blues. They were playing like
basic
12-bar blues, and I just sit there and start playing. And then I played that gig, and then when the guy got out of hospital, I had his gig.
Really?
He was replaced by a 12-year-old.
And they were full age. They were like normal age. They were
18. They were big kids.
And they were playing with a 12-year-old drummer.
Yeah.
So now, how did the Who gig? How did opening for the Who happen?
We used to play at this. There was a club in the Brighton Aquarium, and it was called Uncle Bonnie's Chinese Jazz Club.
Chinese Jazz Club.
Yeah, and it was a tiny little place, not much bigger than from here to the front of the house. It was really tiny, and the Who used to come down and play there.
Stop. What year? Like when is this? In the 60s?
This is when the mods in the 60s. Like,
Yeah.
63 maybe, when the mods and rockers started going. They were very popular.
Wow.
And all these bands used to come down from.
But this
from
is before they
Merseyside.
like broke crazy. Yeah. And did Roger
they were
and
really
Pete, did they talk to each other in those days? Did they like each other in those days?
I guess so. I mean, they didn't really talk to us too much. They were like London. They were down from London, so they were from the big city, like little Brighton kids.
When did they get a load of you? This 12-year-old drummer playing.
Me with us when we changed their name. Look at what we changed their name to.
The Worm.
The Web.
The Web. Oh, I can't even. Okay, wait. Pete, we got to show this. The Web. I thought there were more letters behind you.
Yeah.
See if we can get that in there.
So we should have patented that, right? We'd have made a lot of money if we just said,
The Web's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. There was no web, and we called ourselves that.
I like it.
Yeah.
There was no World Wide Web. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens here?
So that they had a drum kit, and then they went and got another one. That was I think that was the
So you're not playing a toy drum kit anymore.
No. Premier had 3 drum kits. They had Premier, which was the top of the line, and then they had Olympic, which was like the intermediate kit, and then they had Gigster that nobody wanted to play. So I got an Olympic drum kit.
Okay, so now, don't you have to learn? I mean, how are you learning? There's no internet to go watch somebody play drums. How are you? It's all feel. It's all instinct for you.
I had the mechanics of playing the drums. I learned how to do the mechanics of playing the drums. Second song I learned was Take 5.
So.
Yeah. So I found the mechanics of how to sort of move around with the drum.
But how?
And I knew songs. I know songs.
So it's instinct for you.
Yeah, I knew what songs were. I knew how songs moved rhythmically, and I could.
Did dance help with that?
Yeah, there was tap dancing. Tap dancing standards taught me form of a song. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. As a bridge is how to get into the middle, how to get out of it, how to get back to the verse. It taught me song structure, rhythmically. With the tap dancing, it was rhythmically, so I could figure out. People ask me, did you listen to this drummer, or did you listen to that drummer, or did you listen? Well, I did listen to those drummers. I listened to Ringo and I listened to Charlie, but I never really listened to what they were playing. I listened to the songs. So I could play the songs, but I would sometimes I wouldn't listen to the actual parts that they play.
So
I could just figure out how to play the song.
I heard an interview with you where you were saying that you sing along.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Well, with Petty, vocalists they have to get their lyrics across. They have to find a space to get their lyrics across. So when I'm sitting and I'm playing and I'm singing along, it's not because I want to sit there and sing along with the song. It's kind of like trying to figure out if the tempo that we're in, where we're playing the song, is in a place where they're comfortable, so they can sing the songs and get their lyrics across, so that they're not gasping for breath or taking too long to get to the next. There's a sweet spot for the song to be.
I don't, and I'm not trying to blow smoke, but that's why you're the drummer that you are. That's a big part of why you're the drummer that you are, and why you're so sensational is because you're an artist back there, and it's about the song. It's not about Steve.
Right.
It's about the song.
It's about the song, right?
And that's why you do it so
Absolutely.
well. Yeah.
So it's what interests me. It doesn't interest me to do drum solos and do parlor tricks. I love to play music. I love to take a song and I love to play a song and look out and see 20, 30, 40,000 people all dancing. They're dancing.
God.
To me.
All right, so we're going to get to how the first time you saw those 20, 30, 40,000 people. So now you're 12 years old, you're playing in this band, you get an Olympic kit. How does your career progress from there? What happens?
Well, I mean, I got taken to
Are you going to school or are you?
Yeah, but I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Because when they started to ask me what do I want to do when I leave school, because the school leaving age was 15, and being from where I was from, my area of my social, where I was on the social scale, we were supposed to either become like workers, like factory workers, or factory labor, or.
What'd your mother do? Did your mother work?
My mother worked at the factory. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, you could stay an extra year at school and get a job in a bank, or maybe be a train driver. If not, you worked at the train station selling tickets, a clerk or something. When they asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to play drums, and they said I couldn't do that.
They said you couldn't do that?
No, they said it wasn't a real job.
Because you won't make as much money as you will selling tickets at the train station.
So I said, well, Ringo Starr does it.
Ooh.
And they said, well, that's Ringo Starr. You know Ringo Starr. And I said, I can hang with Ringo. And so they started to call me Ringo at school. And they started to mock me. So I stopped working. I stopped doing everything. I used to box at school. I used to play football at school. I stopped doing all that.
How'd your mother feel about you?
It wasn't that important. It wasn't as important then as it is now.
Were you making money already as a drummer?
No.
So you're not making money.
No.
But this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And your mom's supporting you. Your mom's okay with it.
Yeah.
I really like that.
When I left school, when I finally got around to leaving school, when I was 15, I was out of there. I wanted to leave. Didn't want to be in there anymore. I didn't want to. When we took the exams, they came with and I get my exam stuff, and they say you have 10 minutes to look at it. I'd sit there like this, and they say, okay, start, and I'd put up my hand and say, what? I say, I can't do it. And they say, we'll give it a try. And I say, can't do it.
Wow.
And they say, okay, go. And I'd leave, and I'd go play drums.
Wow.
I was a little bit rebellious.
A little bit and are you already getting a little drunk? Are you already imbibing?
No.
When do you start drinking?
I tell you the truth, I don't really remember. But I mean, I mean, my grandmother used to make homemade wine. I used to have that at Christmas when I was a little kid. But that didn't.
That wasn't part of your life.
Probably when I left school and I started working, and I got a job, and it was I could go and have a pint, and I'd lie about my age, because it was like 15.
Well, we could do that back then. They didn't card.
No,
do that
we
stuff.
didn't have any ID.
Yeah. Oh.
But as they walk in, they say, "How old are you?" Say, 18. They say, "Give you a drink."
Yeah.
So I started. I came out of school and I got a job.
What kind of job did you get?
As engraving in a factory. Hated it. Then I left that and I did like odd jobs, like car wash and stuff like that for a bit, and then.
And so while you're doing these day jobs, you're playing music at night.
I'm playing music, playing with bands, and the Melody Maker used to have ads in the Melody Maker, and I used to write off and answer the ads, and maybe get some change together and go to the coin machines. You just put the coins in the letter A and B, answer or get your money back. These 2-button old telephone machines that we had. then I did that for a while, and then I got a job on a construction site as a storekeeper on a construction site, and the owner of the company, Mr. Poster, he owned a hotel, big hotel there, and a couple of big hotels in Brighton, and he was kind of wanted me to become wanted me to go back to school and become a site foreman. I didn't really want to do that, and he was really,
and so you're not making enough doing music to.
No,
you have to do the
zero.
day. You have to do the. You're making zero, so you have to do the day job. Okay.
And then I got a job as a paint sprayer, and one of the ads in the paper that I wrote off to got answered by a couple of guys in London, and they asked me to come up to London and work. And the guy that I worked for, Laurie Sadler, his name was. It was Harrison Sadler was the company, and Laurie was he'd been in the SAS in the war. He got liberated by General Patton.
Wow!
Wow! He looked out of prison. He was in this prison in France, and Patton sort of rolled up in this in a jeep with 2 6 guns. He told me his war stories. You know?
Wow!
And he said to me, and I said, I asked him to go up to London and go play the drums, and he said to me, look, you can always paint. You can always be a paint sprayer. And he said, but you're not always going to have a shot at playing the drums. If that's what you want to do, you can always come back later.
Nice.
So off I went.
It sounds
and
like
I became a starving musician.
I love the way it sounds like things happened just at the right time for you each time.
Yeah.
And you just kept walking through the doors.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is that even when I got to the Heartbreakers, when it came to the Heartbreakers and sitting down and talking with Tom and Mike and Ben and everything, they were in Gainesville, like they were all the same age, and they were in Gainesville. Was that 3,000 miles away, 4,000 miles away, and they were listening to the same music I was listening to. We were all listening to the same music. So we were basically we were being put in tune all those years ago.
I love that.
For that to just fall together. It's not easy to walk into a band and replace somebody like Stan.
Absolutely.
It's
Was there an adjustment period? Did it take?
Yeah,
did it take any time?
There was a little bit of an adjustment. I'd been playing other kinds of music, been playing different styles, and the Heartbreakers definitely had a style of their own. So there was little bits of adjustment, but
and how about socially?
They had to calm me down a little bit, and I had to sort of liven them up a little bit.
When you started with the Heartbreakers, you're still drinking, yeah?
Yeah. For the first when I came out to do start on Wildflowers, there was the whole how did that happen?
Okay.
So I did a tour with George Harrison in Japan.
Okay, wait, we have to talk about George. So
He's one of the sweetest men I ever met. Sweet man, and his wife Olivia and Danny. I mean, the family.
So George heard you playing with Clapton, and he said, "Come with me." What happened?
Well, he used to come and hang out at the Albert Hall, and he was in this dressing room backstage, and he was like, they asked me to go and do this gig in Japan, and they were like, "Oh, why don't you go?" And he said, "I haven't got a band," and he said, "Well, why don't you take my band? I'm going to take some time off." So George said, "Do you guys come with me?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Jolene, this is for you.
Of course we would. And then we went back to Japan with George. There is another story.
Okay,
actually.
Let's hear. Is that when you took Will? That's not when you took Will Lee.
No. This is kind of.
You're gonna lead into
I've
that.
Been,
Hey,
I've
Will.
been playing with Duran Duran.
Okay.
Right. And when I went over to
how's that for you? Playing with Duran Duran and all the young girls and that music. How was that for you?
the young girls love Simon Le Bon and John Taylor.
They're not after you. Yeah, you're not getting the pussy on that.
They like me. They're all very nice to me, but
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, it's not the same.
Warren Cucurullo was in the band, but you know that had sort of finished it because I'd had a year of Duran Duran and Eric Clapton. I'd spent 3 weeks at home, and so something had to go. And I was really enjoying playing with Eric, Greg Fillinganes, Nathan East. It was just a greatest band, and so I switched working more with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I had good relationships still with Duran Duran, and I get to London, I rent a car because I got to go all the way out to Windsor to rehearse with George, and I'm driving down Carnaby Street, King's Road, Chelsea. I'm driving down to King's Road, and I see this guy walking down the road, and I look and I say, that looks like Warren Cucurullo, but this guy was a bodybuilder. And Warren had gone through this stage of lifting weights, and he pumped himself up. He was this little skinny rock and roll guy, and then he pumped himself up to be this muscle-bound, sort of like wedged sort of guy. And he's walking down the road, and I look, and here's Warren. Hey, Warren. And Warren looked at me, and he said, you're in town. He said, can you do a session for me? I'm in the car driving along, and I said, well, I don't know. I'm here doing George Harrison. And he takes a cassette out of his bag, and he throws the cassette in the car, right? And he says to me, he said, give me a call, let me know when you can do it. And I said, okay. And I drove off, right? Take the cassette, put it into the car. You know what it was? Ordinary World.
You know, this is like these doors just keep.
Yeah. So
opening
so I'm listening to this song in the car. I get back to the hotel. I call up Warren and I say to him, you don't need me on this. This is a hit record that I'm listening to right here. This is such a hit song. It's such a hit song. And he said, we want you to come over and play it. And I said, okay, well, I'll go and figure it out. So when I figured out what the schedule was with George, I finished working with him, and I went over and we recorded Ordinary World. Big hit.
So what was as you're living this?
Yeah. Living the dream.
I mean, you are fucking living the dream.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
go from Chaka, you're Duran Duran, you're Eric Clapton, you're George Harrison. I mean, this is like
And Average White Man.
an average. And what a place to start. I mean, what a band that was.
Well, actually, it started with Bloodstone and Brian Auger.
Okay, so let's go back. So, when do you start making money? How do you start making money as a drummer?
Well, I mean, I guess when I stopped sort of playing the clubs in Italy and went back to school, I went to get the band I was working with asked me to go and live in France with them and do a year in France with them, and
you have to be making money if you're going.
Well, we were doing clubs, just living in clubs, you know, not even paycheck, from like cash to cash.
Right.
And
how old are you about this time?
I was 21 when I left Italy and went to France,
okay.
and on my 21st birthday, and then I went there and I had a residency in a casino, and these guys were all educated musicians, and I actually knew.
Can you read charts?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I actually knew, because I was working with these guys. I knew that if I wanted to be a professional musician, that I had to learn about music. I had to learn about how to follow a chart, because they could all do that, and I couldn't. I'd learn stuff, and I'd have to learn it. It would take me longer. But if you're going to be a studio musician, they want you in and out quick.
Right.
So I had to figure out how to do it. So when they asked me to go to France, I said to them, could they possibly get me into the conservatory? If they could do that, then I would go.
And this is without graduating high school.
Yes. Yeah. I was kind of at 21 years old. I decided, I just screwed around in Italy and just like lived there and just hung out, and since I was like 17, and
Did you have a day job?
No, just play music.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that I either had to go back and get a real job, and I'd met these Americans that were computer programmers, and they talked to me, and that kind of interested me. So I thought, well, I could go back to school maybe, and then learn about computers. Yeah, I could have been like a billionaire by now, maybe. But I wouldn't have had as much fun.
No, that is for sure. And
So-
you wouldn't have gotten as much pussy either.
No, or as much trouble.
That's probably true too.
I decided to. They got me to go into school. So when I went into the school and I started to learn how to read and I started to learn about my craft and I started to do little sessions for Radio Luxembourg. Not Radio Luxembourg. Radio Monte Carlo. Radio Monte Carlo, we used to do like jingles and stuff on Radio Monte Carlo, which was sort of a training ground for me, being in the studio, getting stuff done quickly, and so I did that, and I used to teach, and they let me into the school to teach because it's a classical school. All they taught was classical drums, so it's a ding dong bong bong ching ching. That was it. And they wanted to keep the young kids interested, and they said, "Will you teach the kids how to play modern drums?" I know how to play modern drums, but I don't know what I'm doing. I've got to teach.
I was just going to ask, how do you do that?
They said, "Well, you figure it out." So I had to sit down and figure it out, and then they let me into the
Conservatory?
So then I would teach these kids, and I would write stuff out for them, and they would say, "Oh no, Mr. Ferrone, that's not how you do that." And so it was like this. I was
Your
learning.
kids were teaching you.
So I did that for 3 years, and then I got asked to come to the United States, and that's when I started to earn a living.
What's the first gig that you're really making money?
Average white man.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get that?
Tragically, Robbie McIntosh I'd met him. I'd followed him into a couple of bands in Europe, and we were good friends.
Pete, would you do me
Hey,
a favor? Could you
I
take
do.
that off the hook? I forgot to do that. It's right. There's one right there. If you would just press talk. Sorry, folks. This is a very we're gonna turn that. If you just press talk, top left, and now off.
No.
Thank you.
So Robbie, we've become really good friends. Robbie McIntosh is a good friend of mine,
Thank you, Pete.
and then I came out here to do a session in Los Angeles with a band called Bloodstone that hit Natural High, and I was working with them on a movie, and I was under contract to them, and Robbie called me up and said, "We're going to have a party after they were playing at the Troubadour. We're going to have a party. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to, but I've got to work on Sunday. Let me see if I can make it. I will." And as things had it, I didn't make it to that party.
Oh.
And the next day, a good friend of mine, Terry Merchant, I don't know if he's watching, might be watching anything. Terry Merchant was my roadie, and he called me up and he said, "Robbie's dead." And I said, "What, dead drunk?" And he said, "No, he's dead." And Robbie had died of an overdose. So I went round and saw the band, because I knew them. I was good friends with Hamish, and we sat there talking, and they said, look, they just started to get play with Pick Up the Pieces, and they said, "Look, if there's anything I can do to help, I can help you out on weekends."
But you're under contract to this other.
Yeah. And what happened was that Styx Hooper from the Crusaders and myself, if I could make it, Styx would do it. If Styx could make it, I would do it. We would sort of filling in, doing gigs just to keep the band going. And they were auditioning drummers over at SIR, and there were drummers around the block trying to get into that band.
I bet.
So it just one day when I played a gig down at a Long Beach auditorium, the old Long Beach auditorium, and we played this gig, and it was a great gig. And I came off the stage, and there was this little guy standing there, dapper little guy with a little suit, and he said, "You got to be in the band." And I said, "Well, I'd love to. I'm kind of like, I'm in a contract to another band, so I can't really do it." "You're out of that contract, and you're in this band." And he turned around and he walked away, and I'm like, "Who the hell was that? Who's he?" "Ahmed Erdogan."
Oh my God!
And that was my beginning of a friendship with Ahmed Erdogan.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he muscled you into
He muscled me into Average White Band, and that was how that.
So that was quite a life you had. You were with them a long time.
About 10 years. Yeah.
So So what was that like when, like now all of a sudden, like you're playing real venues and you're having hit records and.
Well, that was really well. You know, that was a lot of fun. But what came along with that was the thing that was fun was that we went to New York to record, and I met Arif Mardin, and Arif Mardin produced the Bee Gees.
There you go. A callback.
Not the one I was playing, but he was the one. He did jive talking, did a lot of stuff with the Bee Gees, and Arif noticed, because when I came up with something like a pattern that was working for a song, I'd jot it down, and then so I could remember what it was. There was a lot of talking and stuff, discussion going on.
Right.
So when I sat down and played what I had to play, I knew what it was, where it was that I had to start, and he noticed that I read. So he said, "I noticed you read music," and I said, "No, a little bit, not fantastic." And he said, "Well," he said, "You want to do some sessions for me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." You know. So then that was when I started to work with Will Lee, Richard T, Anthony Jackson, Brecker Brothers. All these guys in the
You're in New York.
You're in New York. All these New York studio musicians that were so talented. David Spinoza, all the Hugh McCracken. I mean, just wonderful group of players. You know, that basically taught me, and Arif taught me my craft of being in the studio. That's my son. Hey, that's my son.
Boom, boom.
Do you know where he is?
And he's FaceTiming.
He's in New Zealand.
Oh my God. Snuffy was just in New Zealand. Say hi to the people
Say
there.
hello, Jason.
Hello.
You're on the air, Jason.
You're
Hi,
on the air.
Jason.
You're on FaceTime.
I'm on the air,
Well-
and I'm just hearing the most wonderful news.
What's that?
Lucinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand,
Yeah.
managed in basically less than a week's time to get military weapons banned over here.
Oh! Can you please bring her over here?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I'm
and
gonna
that's
gonna
wonderful.
vote for her.
Yes, absolutely. That's
Vote for her, for sure.
All right.
Anyway, in the interview, I don't know who you're interviewing with, or...
Hi, I'm Vicki. He's interviewing with me. Nice to meet you. You're good looking, and you know I lean young. No.
I'll be back.
His
soon.
wife's a Maori. She'll cut your head off. All right, son. I love you. Speak to you later.
All right. So while we had this, that's unbelievable. They banned the weapons. They have one shooting there. They ban the weapons. Right? Done. What's going on with us that we can't do this stuff?
And it just stuns me. It stuns me, especially after those children of Sandy Hook. I just couldn't. I don't understand that.
Yeah. There's been a lot more since.
Yeah, but if you can't do it after that, little kids like that, it's heartbreaking. It's heartrending. Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe things have changed. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Any questions while we're on a thing? Because I'm figuring.
On a thing?
No hate mail.
So I'm trying to look to see if anybody's asking a question.
What was it like playing drums with Prince at the Rock Hall?
That was fantastic. It was unexpected. It was. I didn't know. I didn't know that he was going to be there for that. You know. And
Were you friends? Do you know?
no, I never met him. What? This is funny because. So we're there on the stage, and I had no idea he was going to be there. And I look across the stage, and I see Prince come up on stage, and Steve Winwood's sitting right here, right? And I say, "What's Prince doing here?" And he says, "He's going to play with us." I said, "Oh, nice of people to say." The drummer's always the last to know. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over and say hello to him." Because it was a bit strange. There was a bit strange because
The vibe.
yeah, because Prince wasn't supposed to actually play with us. It was something that the Hall of Fame came up with, and they had to.
They orchestrated it.
Olivia Harrison really wanted just friends of George to be playing at this thing, and then at his induction, and then but then they asked her, please let Prince come and play. So Prince got the solo, this big solo in the thing, and so I went over there. I went walking. I said to him, I'm going to go over and say hello, and he said, you're not. And I said, yeah. He said, no. Yeah. So I got up and I walked over and I said, hi, excuse me, Prince. Hi, it's Steve Ferrone, nice to meet you. And he said to me, I know who you are, right? And I thought, I feel for you, because Chaka said, I feel for you. He wrote that, right? And I played on that.
Right.
So I said, oh yeah, I feel for you. I said, really looking forward to playing. Nice to meet you. And he said, yeah, it's very nice. And shook his hand, and then turned around, and I went back over there, and Winwood was like, what did he say? And I said, he's very nice. He's very nice.
It's hard to think of Steve Winwood being this way, being like a girly girl about Prince. This is blowing my mind a little bit. It's fucking Steve Winwood.
No, well, we've heard. I don't know if it was so much that it was that we've heard. Everybody's heard all these stories. Right. You know, you can't look at him. You can't talk to him. Don't do this. Don't. I mean, there was all this different stuff. That, so it was like, Winwood thought I was taking my life in my hands to go over and just say hello to him. So then we do the rehearsal, and Tom goes over and talks to Prince and says, "Oh, yeah, just burn, we got this." And we do the rehearsal. Then comes the performance, and Prince put on this show, not for the audience, but for the band. First thing he does is that he does this full back off of the stage, and the whole band's like, oh! And he's got a guy in the audience that grabs him and pushed him back up on the stage. And then he did the trick with throwing the guitar up in the air, and it vanished. And everybody's like, well, where the hell did that go? He put on an incredible entertainer. Incredible, and what a solo that was. I mean, they played that. I would have paid more attention to it as it was going down if I'd have known it was that great a solo. Incredible, iconic.
And then what was he like at the end of that?
Oh, actually, there was something that happened before that. When I left him over there, and I got and I'm sitting there talking to Winwood, all of a sudden I hear this guitar riff to a song called Schoolboy Crush, right? That I was one of the writers on, with Average White Band song. Dig-a-doo, 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 doo. I thought it was maybe one of the guys from the Letterman band or something that started playing, messing with me, because I know those guys.
Right.
And I look around, and I look over, and Prince is playing it, and looking at me, and he did know who I was, and he did know that was my song. So he knew his stuff.
That's very impressive. I knew there was going to be a comeback to the. I knew he didn't know you from a child, and then you were going to say something. But that's pretty. That for him to play a song that you penned. That's pretty impressive. That's lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's been lots of surprises like that along the way for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got to play over the years with like so many great. I know Michael Jackson's not that popular at the moment, but
I just watched Finding Neverland last night, whatever it's called, the documentary on HBO.
Yeah.
Wow, is that sobering?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate to.
What was your experience with him?
My experience with him was I worked with him, and he was an incredible artist. Yeah.
When did you work with him? What period?
I played on History.
So he was already having a lot of trouble at that point in his career.
I didn't really notice it. I didn't know anything about it.
The trial was already going. There was stuff going on.
I got caught. I was in New York. I didn't pay too much attention to anything back then. I probably watched the news a lot more now than I did back then.
Yeah.
I got this call to come out and do a gig with do a gig with Michael Jackson. Bill Bottrell was producing, and I came out, set up the drum kit, and we got a really good drum sound together. And Michael sort of materialized next to the drum kit, and I said, "Oh, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you." Shook his hand. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Steve, do you dance?" And I said, "Are you asking?" He said, "No, it just feels so good to dance when you're playing."
Aww.
And then.
Did you tell him that you were a dancer?
Yeah, I said I used to tap dance. And then we went in, and he played me this song, Earth Song. And he said he wanted electronic drums on it. And I said, well, why would you want electronic drums on a song called Earth Song?
Wow.
And he said, well, I don't know, I just really feel like and I said, well, okay. I said, okay, I tell you what, they had a set there, they kicked there, and and I said, well, the sin drums with the hard surface, the old drums. I said, okay, look, I tell you what, I'll do it with that, but I got to do a pass with the real kit after. You know? And so he said, well, all right, and then he disappeared off into the studio, and me and Bill Bottrell went to work, and we found the part and everything for the song where it started.
So you started on electronic drums?
Yeah, and I did the electronic drum things, and back then there was a lot of double triggering and stuff, so we had to like fix the double triggering, fix all the part, got it all done, and made a phone call and waited. Michael showed up and he sat there and he listened to it. Yeah, that's good. I said, I'm going to put the real drums on it now. And he said, well, there's no need to do that. And I said, wait, we had a deal.
Wow.
Right? You're not gonna welch on a deal with me, right?
You did not say that to Michael Jackson.
And he said, well, okay, all right, then do it. And I said, well, it won't take me long. He said, okay, do it. So he left again, and I went and put the real drums on it. Real drums, they have a way of moving air. They make the speakers move. It moves air, and it sort of. Bill Bottrell got a really great drum sound on it. So he comes to make the phone call, sit there and wait. He comes back again. He sit there. The drums kicked in, and he jumped up and he started dancing.
Aww.
That's what real drums do. That's what earth drums do.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
And that's what I did on there.
So okay, so
I mean, there's been all these people. I mean, George Harrison, George Benson. I mean, there's all these great musicians.
Did anybody? Were you starstruck with anyone that you got to play with that took your breath away?
I was starstruck by a guy that I never got to play with, and I really wish I had. And that was Marvin Gaye. But I could say that we became friends. In a very short period of time, we were friends. Yeah. He's the most incredible singer. If there was anybody that I could sing like, it'd be like Marvin Gaye. He's just an incredible singer, incredible guy. Yeah.
And so now along this path, you're playing with all these incredible people. I'm sure your life is changing. You're making more and more money. You're having all this success. How is the drinking factoring into your life in this time? And
pretty good.
And are you having fun for most of it?
I was having a ball.
Having a ball.
Got in the clubs in New York, and got here and there, and running around.
Are you having kids yet? When?
Well, towards the end of it, towards the end of that, I started to have children. 1980, I had my son Jason.
When was that?
1980.
1980. So you're still drinking and now you're.
I'm still drinking and carousing around, and then that went on for about another 10. In '93, I got sober.
So in that 13 years, how many kids do you have in that period of time?
I had 4.
You had all 4 in that period while you were drinking and.
Oh yeah.
And carousing.
Yeah.
Okay, and so.
And I got married 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you married them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't marry no, not the wife, not the children, not the mothers of the children. I married
You married
one.
other.
Outside of the.
Wait a minute. What?
outside of the I had 4 marriages.
Okay.
I had children with one of those women.
One child?
No, 2 children.
2 children with one of those wives.
One of those wives.
And then there were
And
2
then
other women.
2 other women that I had.
That's a lot of cohabitating right there in a short period of time.
Yeah, that's the ones that I know about.
Oh God! Oh my God! Were you a blackout drunk?
No. Although, well, no. I mean, my memory is hazy on some things that people come up and say. Well, you said you'd never forget that happened, and I forgot that happened. But you know,
yeah, but that could happen to anybody.
But that's kind of like within. I mean, I kind of remember it happening, but not really. You know, there's other things.
So what caused you to stop drinking? What was your bottom? Why did you do that?
Well,
Did drinking ever get? I'm sorry. Did drinking ever get in the way of your work?
No, I didn't like playing. I didn't like playing. I
So
used to
you
become
waited till
after.
right? Okay.
I didn't like playing, and if it got in the way of my work at all,
Mm-hmm.
it would be that if I was out drinking at the China Club and it was a jam night and somebody said, "Steve, do you want to play?" No, I'm drinking.
Ah. Okay.
So it cut off. I mean, I remember Spodiotes. I went to Spodiotes. I got into town, and I went down to Spodiotes to meet some friends and have a drink. And I walked in there, and somebody said, "Come and play." And I went and played, and I had a ball. And I thought, I wouldn't have done this if I'd started drinking already. You know. And I remember that registering. So. If it did get in the way, that was the way that it got in the way. But
and those were such fun days when those jams would just happen.
Yeah, it was great. But I mean, like I say, when those jams happen, I mean, when the China Club thing happened with Bowie, and that was I had a girlfriend. She worked at Chrysalis Records, and she called me up one day from work, and she said, "Do you remember this girl?" I forget her name. She works in the office with me, and she wants to talk to you. I said, "Okay." So she puts her on the phone with me, and she says, "What are you doing next Wednesday?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm thinking party, right?" She said, "Well, my boyfriend's got a band, and the drummer can't make it. So can you make it?" And I'm like stuck now because I've said that I can't. Yeah. So I had to go and do this.
Because you already said you were available.
And they were awful. It was like it was a horrible band, And I was recording with Bowie with the Labyrinth soundtrack. And Bowie, we'd taken sort of going out a couple of times, and when I was working at Saturday Night Live, and we'd go out Saturday Night Live and hang out at the parties and stuff. Bowie said, "What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow night?" I said, "Well, playing." I said, "I can't go out tomorrow night. I'm going to play a gig." "Oh, really? Where are you playing?" I said, "I'm playing at the China Club." He said, "Oh, great! I love it. I'll come up there." I said, "No, you don't really." And China Club was kind of there, but not really doing too much at that point. And
Really? God, I only know it as thriving.
It was there. I mean, it used to be a pinball joint.
Really?
It just kind of opened up, and it was And so I go down there and I set up the drums, and I set them on the stage, and I got the cymbals sort of angled this way so that nobody can see me playing with this horrible band. And then sitting there playing with this band, and I look down to the hole through the cymbals, and I see Bowie looking like this. And then he disappears, and then he comes back, and I see Winwood with him.
Oh,
And I'm
God.
like, "Oh, no, I'm playing with this god awful band." And I come off the stage, and and Nile Rogers was there, and Carmine Rojas, a bunch of people.
Hi, Carmine.
There. And Bowie says, "Oh, come on, cheer up, let's jam." And I said, "Okay, that's brightened up. That'll brighten up my evening a little bit
Hell
to do
yeah.
that, And he says, "We need another guitarist." And he goes to the office and he calls up Ronnie Wood because he lived right across the street. Ronnie comes over with his guitar. China Club does the right thing, shut the doors and didn't let anybody in or anybody out, and we jammed. And that made it into the
Page
page 6 the next day.
Mm-hmm.
They were lying around the block trying to get into the China Club.
Yeah, I was a promoter there later.
Yeah.
But I saw many people do shit like that.
Yeah.
While boy, those were crazy jams
And
there.
it was just a great.
But so you guys were the ones that kicked off all that stuff for them. Wow.
Yeah. But
How many people were in the club at the time?
Oh,
Was it
a couple
packed?
of hundred.
No.
No, it wasn't not packed.
Uh-huh.
It was, it was. But the person from the post was there, so that was enough. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was really cool. And so I mean, so there's been all these things that are sort of I'm going to use a chick word, serendipitous.
No, very serendipitous.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with the drinking? Why stop?
Well, why I stopped was because along with one of my with my daughter, I had a daughter, came a lawsuit. I didn't find out about her until she was 9 years old.
Oh.
And she came with the lawsuit,
And a paternity test, I gather.
Yeah, I took the paternity test, and then there was all this stuff like we had to go backwards and forwards to Cleveland. There was supplying bank accounts and doing this, and then people were saying, well, you work with Clapton, you must have Clapton's money. And Clapton's got millions. I make good money, but I'm a high drum,
Right.
And so basically that kicked off like a good decade and a bit of that. It was really not the best time period for me. But when that started, I would drink and go out and forget about it. And as you know, what happens with that is that you drink and you go out and you forget about it, and then when you sort of wake up,
but the problem doesn't go away.
The problem actually gets bigger.
Yeah.
And so it got so big that I couldn't get enough booze or drugs, for that matter, inside of me that I didn't have to look at this massive pile of poo that was sitting there in my life. So I decided I was out here, and I decided that I was going to stop.
So there was no there wasn't a bottom. I didn't have one. Like a day that
that wasn't bottom enough.
No, but I mean but that's like ongoing thing. Just pick a day and say, okay, I'm done.
It was. I was out here, and I was at my friend Nathan East's house, and there I was, there just sitting there getting loaded, and I wasn't getting loaded, and I said to him, it's not working for me anymore. It's I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm going to stop. And they said, all right, just stop right now. Finish this first.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And then
did you go right to a meeting?
No, I went home.
Okay.
I went home. To New York, and I decided that's what I was going to start. So my friends invited me out, and I said, I'm not drinking anymore. And then I found out that a bunch of the barmen in the China Club program. So they helped me. I could still go and hang out in the clubs, but I started to go mad. I started to have nightmares, and I was detoxing. I didn't realize that I'd gone that far, and I thought, this shouldn't be happening to me. I'm not like them.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be happening to me. And I had 3 weeks of a nightmare. It was really bad. And I guess if anything was my bottom, that was because sometimes I go to these rehabs, and I talk to the inmates at the rehabs, and some of them actually look like, remember the old mafia torture where they take a telephone book and they beat you in the face with the telephone book and it would knock you senseless? That's what they look like, and I guess that's what I look like.
Oh.
That's probably where I got when I stopped, because I was just stunned at what was going on with me,
and so you didn't get any help.
No, I probably could have used it. I probably could have used being put into a rehab.
You did it cold turkey.
Yeah. And then, did you ever meet a guy named Steve Bruton? Stephen Bruton.
Don't think so.
Stephen Bruton, he wrote the music for Crazy Heart, and we used to work together with Christine McVie. And he'd stopped for about 4 years. Stopped drinking for about, that's all I knew as far as I knew. He just, stopped drinking, I don't do that stuff, I'm not doing that anymore. And he would come and hang out with me. And he just called me up to see how I was doing, and I told him that I wasn't doing well. I said everything was fucked, basically. I'd given up everything. What do you mean giving up everything? Everything. No more booze, no more. He said, well, how's it going? And I said, not good. It's not good. And he he said, "You want to go to meeting with me?" And I said, "I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Right, stay where you are." And he got on the plane in Austin, Texas, and he flew to New York. And he took me to my first meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you, after you walked into the room for the first time, did you say, okay, this is this?
No.
Or, no. No, this is what I want to know. So,
No.
so what happened?
Well, I went to this meeting out of the goodness of my heart.
Okay.
Because he come all the way from Texas.
Yeah, gotta go.
And I went in there and I heard a guy talking,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt better. I felt better than I felt the past 3 weeks. I don't know how that works, but that's what it does. And in there, I heard this guy talking. I felt better, and so I wanted to go back. I went back. He left town, and I went and I started to go up to Fireside then, up in the YMCA, and then I did 90 meetings in 90 days, and then I walked in there and I was late coming from a session, and this woman looked at me and she went, "That was it. I was done."
Oh, God.
I was done with that. I ain't going back there anymore.
And so what happened?
I stopped.
Completely, no meetings.
Yeah, but this was.
Was it hard? Was it harder to stay sober not doing meetings, or were you so?
Didn't really notice. I didn't really notice anything. I mean, I notice it now, but back then I didn't really notice it. I was just really pissed off. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do what I was doing. I stayed in touch with the people that I liked. I didn't like. No, I'm not going to go back there anymore. And
So what
that
got
was
you
as
to
good
go
an
back?
excuse as any.
Uh-huh.
And so okay. So when I first started playing with Tom, I was drinking, and then the next time I went back to play with Tom, I'd stopped. And
Was anybody else sober in the band?
yes,
Uh-huh. That helps.
yeah, and he was the only person that noticed.
There you
The
go.
only person that noticed that I stopped. Yeah. And God, tortured him on the road. Tried to take me to meetings, and I didn't want to go. But I finally got around. I finally got around to doing it, and yeah, my life looks a whole lot different now than what it did back then.
Are you a different? Okay, so let's talk about how it's changed you. Changed you as a father?
I don't know.
When you
You'd have to ask my kids that.
okay?
It's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult for me to say how much I've changed because I don't really notice that much of a change. My kids would notice a change.
The women in your life, I bet,
my
would.
women in my life, my ex-wives, my ex-wives, my family, my mother. You know, when she passed away in 2008, right before we did the Super Bowl, and when I went back there and she was never much of like a religious person, my mother, and I found these letters that she'd written to God, but they were sort of letters of complaint. Why are you taking? She had a couple of friends that died of cancer. Why did you do that? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? She was complaining about that. And there was one letter that was a letter of gratitude for me being sober. So I guess she noticed the difference.
How meanbeful was it to your mother that the success that you had?
She loved it. She loved coming to shows. She loved seeing the band. She never got to see the Heartbreakers. I'm really sorry that she never got to see that.
And so, what was it like playing the Super Bowl? That was a
Thrilling.
good trip.
That was thrilling. It was actually. I don't really get nervous, but that time I got nervous.
Really?
And I started hearing this name. There's a billion people going to watch this. It was really important. Some of these football teams, they had like their records or something. It was like an interesting game and an interesting halftime show, and so it's going to be a billion people watching this thing. And I don't really think too much about it. I got this is my area here, my job. This is all I have to really take care of, you know. But when you start hearing this number all the time, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, if I screw this up,
There's nowhere to hide.
I'll never work again anywhere. Everybody you know. And so I got a little bit. I got a little bit nervous, but I went into the. I actually did a bit of meditation, a bit of prayer. There's something that before I play, I usually take a shower, and while I'm in there, I usually say a prayer for a prayer of gratitude for the talents that I've been given, and just let my talents really sort of shine through for the people that have worked hard for paying their money for the tickets, and let me really be able to give the best show that I can possibly give. And that's what I do. And I guess drop money. I heard money. I guess I do a little meditation. At that Super Bowl, my mother sort of came to me in that meditation, and she said, "This is fun." She said, "This is fun. This is amazing."
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So why am I worrying about this? I've been well rehearsed. I know exactly what I got to do. What I got to do is just do what we've been doing. We've been rehearsing all week, and everything was really tight. We knew exactly where we were going to be. We even rehearsed them blowing up stuff next to us.
Oh, really?
They made us stand next to these pots, and then they let them off. Okay, so now you know what to expect.
So that you don't freak out when the explosions
they blew them up
start?
so that it didn't freak us out. So we knew exactly what we had to do, and I went back and got ready, and we went out onto the field, and we got up onto the stage, and we were there, and we were just getting our stuff together, and my tech's got my drums, got my stuff, got my earpiece, and I look over and I see Tom reach for his amp in his hand. His hand shakes.
Wow.
And I say, "Hey Tom." He said, "What?" I said, "This is fun." And he said, "You know what, you're right." And then in my earpiece, he went, "Here we go." Getting the count off, and then that was it. We were in. And it's great Super Bowl halftime show, I thought.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
That's very humbling. That even Tom got nervous in that.
Yeah,
moment.
he got nervous every show.
Did he really?
He always thought that it was crazy not to get nervous. He'd look at me. He'd see me sleeping. He'd come in and say, "I don't know how he does it." How's he doing that? He's just laying there sleeping.
So, wow.
There's a ton of questions.
Okay.
And Delson Ross, he's 17. He's been asking many questions, and he said he's going to watch this over and over again. But
Is he a drummer? Is Delson
he
a drummer?
said, "What advice do you have for young and upcoming musicians? I'm 17 and I'm trying to find myself musically." Okay,
well, it's really hard for me to give advice to you young guys out there today, because it's so different from when I started playing. It was.
How so?
Well, I mean, okay. First thing, there was a lot more places to play.
There sure were.
Right? You could just go
There
and
were
play.
clubs everywhere.
Bars, clubs. You could just go and play. I mean, now 17 years old, they won't let you into a place that sells alcohol to play. So what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, there are some places that you can play, but it really doesn't seem very fair to me to the musicians.
But on the other hand, they can play and they can put it up on YouTube.
They can do
and
that
do
too.
all that stuff.
But it's not like being in front of people. It's not the same, isn't it? Look, the other thing is that when I was starting off, people would do demos. So you go in, the record company would pay for the band and go in and do a demo. So you go in and somebody would say, "Can you come and play on my demo?" So you go in there and you play on the demo, and you probably do it for free. You didn't make any money doing it. Just go have some fun with your friends, and you go in there and you play on the demo, and then they take the demo, take it to the record company. Record company would like the song, they give it to a producer. Producer would listen to the demo and say, "I like the way the drummer's playing, I like the way the bass playing. We use those guys on the record because they already know the song."
Wow.
Right? But now
that doesn't
record companies want finished product. You got to have it done, So, and it's.
Okay, wait. Now you're making this too bleak. Say something optimistic.
It's not really bleak. That's the way that it used to be.
Okay.
Now today, you know what you have to do more than I know what you have to do. The one thing that you do have to do is that you have to play. You have to get your friends together. You have to play. You have to be creative, and don't think about the money. Don't think about acting like a rock star. Be a rock star. There's too many groups now I look at there and it looks like they're playing dress up. You don't have to play dress up. Be you, write music, write meaningful songs like Petty did, songs that touch people, songs that mean something to you, and hopefully you'll become a professional musician. And if you don't become a professional musician, keep playing anyways.
Did you practice a lot? Did you play a lot? No.
I played a lot. I didn't practice a lot. I played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I practiced. If I had a problem doing motor skills, I'd sit down and figure out how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to school, I did 3 years straight.
The conservatory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I did 3 years of nothing but working on my.
Was it like that movie? What's that movie where?
No.
That was scary as shit right there. Oh.
He wouldn't have lasted a second. The moment that he threw a chair at me, he would have had a whole drum kit coming at him, and then me after it.
So it wasn't like
No.
Whiplash.
The only
Whiplash, right there.
the only way that it was any way like Whiplash at all was that I played with this guitarist. His name is Jean-Claude Chanavar, and he lives in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And he played. He was played a residency in the Lido, and he played maybe 4 or 5 games of football a week. And he was a little Frenchman, very short Frenchman, with great big legs from running and playing football, football player legs. And he would stand next to me, and he would tap his foot, and he was a stickler for tempo, and he would sit there for tempo, and if I started to speed up, he'd kick me.
with those
And
legs.
if you've ever been kicked by a football player, I mean, I know it doesn't look like much on the TV, but when those football players, you get kicked by a football player, they roll on the ground, it hurts. They really know how to kick. I mean, you see the goalkeeper.
Well, football is soccer, by the way, over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So it's all leg. It's a lot of legs.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
When they kick a ball, they kick a ball from a goal kick, from a dead ball. They kick a ball and it'll go like 3/4 of the way down the field. Try and kick a ball 3/4 of the way down the
I
field.
can't kick the ball across my living room. Do we that's a great answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just keep playing music and enjoy music
And having fun.
yeah,
Having
have
fun is so important. My life coach, I have a life coach, of course. He always says, every conversation, have fun. Everything in life should be fun.
Playing music just, I mean, I still have a lot of fun. I mean, some people don't think it's that much fun sitting on a plane for 12 hours, right? I've sat on a plane for 12 hours and gone to Italy, played one song, had a fantastic dinner, and got on the plane and came back home.
Stop! What did you do that for?
For a gig, they asked me to do it.
Wow.
But, you know, I mean, if you want to look at that, it's like, well, you go on a plane and go, well, wait a minute, I'm jet setting. I get on a plane, I fly to Italy, I play one song, I eat a fantastic meal, they take me to the airport and I come back.
I like it. And that's a good attitude.
Yeah.
Great.
I like it. I like
It's
it a lot.
it pretty much rocks.
But that's about everything in life, right? It's all the attitude we choose to have with it, right?
How you want to perceive it. I mean, I was in Japan a week ago, and next week I'm going to be in Brazil. So
Doesn't suck. Your life doesn't suck.
life does not suck.
It does not.
No.
Pete, we have more questions?
We do have questions. Let me see. How was touring with Dire Straits?
Well, that's really cool. I mean, Dire Straits music is not that hard. It's not it's not that difficult. Their songs aren't that hard. But Dire Straits music is involved. And they have like songs that are like, 12 minutes long. There's the actual rotation of the song is not that difficult. The stuff in the song that plays isn't that difficult, but there's like stops and starts and loud and quiet and leave this out and put that in. It's very involved, and it's the kind of orchestral. It sort of flows backwards and forwards, a lot of piano stuff. So you really got to have your wits about you when you play it, and it's really, and Martin Knopfler's a great guitarist and a great writer. It's really interesting music to play, and people love it.
I do.
Diego asks, talk a little bit about recording with Pat Metheny on Secret Story.
Oh, that was really cool. That was I got this call to go and do that. I got to say, that, along with Wildflowers, is but in the jazz field, that's probably the most beautiful album that I've ever played on. It's just an incredible album. Pat Metheny is we recorded in what was then Power Station in New York, and him and Steve Robbie were the guys, the Taskmasters. They left me. They gave me a couple of problems with songs that they had it all recorded, and they had it on the synclavier, so they had some programmed drums and stuff on there, and some of the drums that they felt that they wanted it to roar. They wanted it. He said there was one song. It was like it's in, I forget what the title of the song was, in 7/8, and he wanted to keep the bass drum had this very big sort of bump to 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 bump. So he wanted to keep that, but he wanted it had this little sort of bossa nova beat going under the programming, and he said, I want it to roar. Want it to be bigger. There's a problem, a studio problem. So I said, I tell you what, just shut everything down and just send me the track, and I'm gonna play stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna play yet. If you spot something that happens, I'll home in on it. I started to play these things, and started to try and do these things, and then there was one thing I tried to play, and I lost my balance, and I went back. I played it all the way to the end. I walked in, and he said, "You did it. You did it. You did it. One bar. You did it." And it was the bar where I almost fell off the drum.
What, were you able to duplicate it?
Well, I had to. It was a question, because there's the way that the pattern went. There was this one area in there that both feet are off of the ground, so I had to really sort of find and then.
Literally both feet were off the ground because you were falling?
Yes. It's like a pretty. If you look at the feet when I play it, it's very strange. But they gave me like 15 minutes to work on the motor skills, and then I played it. But I mean, the whole album, I did probably half of the album, and I split the album, but I listened to that album a lot. It's such a gorgeous album. It just holds up today. I think he spent a lot of money doing it. All the orchestral stuff and everything, it's just gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful album.
Is there anything that you've done that you wish you hadn't, like that you go like this? Like I wish I had, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? I mean, you really haven't played that kind of music, so that probably hasn't happened to you.
Well, there's One Average White Band. I was saying the One Average White Band album, not really over keen on. It's called Cupid's in Fashion. I don't really like that album. Yeah, I still don't. They're releasing a compilation album of Average White Band songs.
Nice.
They call it Gold or something like that. And then they took some of the songs off, and they put some of the songs from Cupid in Fashion on there. And they said, we feel that there needs to be some of these songs on this album, the record company, and they said there wasn't any before, and I just wrote the email. That's because the album sucks. And the guy wrote back, well, that seems to be the general consensus in the band, so like, none of us really like it.
But they put it in there anyway. They're putting it in there anyway.
It's part of our history. I guess we have to live with that. That's the problem when you do a record that you don't really like. If you don't really like it, you have to live with it for the rest of your life.
And you got to keep playing it when you're still on the road. Yeah.
Especially if it's a hit. If you have a hit with it, then you're stuck with it. I mean, we play. I don't think there was a show where we didn't play Free Falling with Tom Petty. I never got tired of playing that song.
How could you?
No. You can't. I've been playing Pick Up the Pieces for years now. 40 years I've been playing Pick Up the Pieces. I'm not tired. Don't get tired of playing it.
That's so great.
But I can't even remember any of the songs on that album.
Really?
That one album.
So what are you playing now? What are you going out on the road with?
Well, I'm going to Brazil with Dire Straits Legacy, and we're going to go down there and play some Dire Straits music. It's my band. Trevor Horn is now playing in the band, the bass player in the band, Trevor's got a hit record in England at the moment, and so in July I'm going to go and play with him in England, do some gigs with him in England. And I just got a call today, and I'm absolutely thrilled. You young guys, you probably got like a huge a band that you're listening to that you're saying, man, if I could just play with this band, if I could just play with this man, I'd love to be able to play. I love the way that guy plays, and I'd love to sit in his seat one day, right? I got a call from Booker T Jones.
Wow.
To go and play some Booker T and MG's music.
Nice.
I'm so sorry Duck Dunn isn't still here, and I love Duck. And if you don't know who he is, look him up. Booker T Jones and Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah.
There was the band from the 60s that were just incredible. And you young guys, sometimes you don't know, when I mention some bands, you don't know who they are. So this is your chance to find out. That's what I used to listen to, and my dream came true today, that I got a call. Well, actually yesterday Booker called me, and today his daughter called me, and we talked about doing this gig. I'm going to play at the Hollywood Bowl with them in August. Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah.
Pete.
So another one we're going.
I think we're going. I think we got to go to that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Wrap soon. We've been yakking a long. We've been yakking a long time.
Dreams do come true.
So someone wants to know if, actually, Delson again, the 17-year-old, he wants to know when and why did you fall in love with Gretsch drums?
With
Gretsch drums?
Gretsch drums. When I was growing up, one of the first things I asked when I started playing the drums is, "What's the best drum kit? What's the best drum kit?" And most people that I asked said to me that Gretsch drums were the best drum kit. A lot of people were playing Ludwig at that time, and so I was getting to play. When I played in Uncle Bunny's Chinese Jazz Club, I got to play on Keith Moon. Used to own a Ludwig kit.
Wow.
And then he switched to Premiere. I played on both of his kits.
Wow.
I played on the Searchers came down. Their drummer had a Slingerland kit that was just incredible. A Trixon kit, and it wasn't one of those funny shaped ones with the days that ones that were like a cone and ones that shaped like an egg. It was just a regular Trixon drum kit, and it was beautiful. It sounded great. And I think Trixon was what they called Vox, or became Vox, and that's what James Brown's band used to use. And I've been looking for one of those drum kits for a while. But
What did Ringo use?
He's Ludwig. He's a Ludwig guy. And Ludwig make really great drum kits. But when I started with Average White Band and I started to have a choice of what I wanted to get, I got a Gretsch kit, and they really do make spectacular sounding drums. At that point, they didn't have much of a distribution. I was with them maybe 10 years, something like that, all the time with Average White Band, but they didn't have much of a distribution, an endorsement program, and I was traveling a lot, and I needed a drum kit. So Jeff Porcaro said to me, "Well, why don't you just put away your Gretches and use them for recording, and I'll hook you up with Pearl." So he hooked me up with Pearl, and I spent 22 years with Pearl Drum Company, and they were just fantastic. And when I started playing with the Heartbreakers, I was still using Pearls, but I'd started to Dinah Gretsch, Fred and Dinah Gretsch had bought back Gretsch drums, and they gave me a couple of kits, and just to have, because they said any drummer worth his salt has got a Gretsch drum kit. So I had these Gretsch drum kits, and I really enjoyed playing them, and I had to make a decision. I thought, I should really play what I want to play, I'm not saying anything bad about Pearl at all, and they were just fantastic people, and they made fantastic drums. They're just not Gretsch's. Gretsch's have got something really special to them. It's kind of like if you got a Ferrari and a Volkswagen bug is good.
That's a pretty big difference.
That's a big difference.
All right, I'm running through these, so I'm gonna throw in a couple because my friend Mark Hochler, and hi Mark, drummer with Mazarin in New York. Did you know Mazarin? He said that they did 200 shows a year in 77 to 87. Roger Nichols produced them. Mazarin used to play for me at the Rock and Roll Cafe, and he said, your band was so kind and gracious to us, and you were an inspiration to him as a drummer. Big Average White Band fans, and you're a hero. Somebody else wants to know, Steve Wallenberg asks if you love riding bicycles. Are you a bicycle rider?
I used to be, yeah. Steve, yeah. How you doing, man?
He said he remembers his first ride. Do you remember your first ride on a real mountain bike?
Yes, he took me on a ride. He
really?
He used to have a mountain bike company. He'd get all these fantastic mountain bikes, and we go and ride them up in the canyon. I can't ride. I got arthritic knee. They won't let me ride a bike anymore.
Ooh, getting old. Yeah. Will Schillinger.
I swim.
Oh.
If you got a bike that swims, I'll swim.
Will Schillinger said he worked with you on many projects.
Oh,
Does that name ring a bell for you?
Which one was that? Come on, Will. Refresh my memory.
Will, tell us what projects that you worked with him on. Can you ask Steve what it's like to have a drum tech that would take a bullet for you? is he a drum tech?
That's my drum tech.
Oh, damn! That's very cute.
I don't know. I'll come over and fire one at you when I get home.
Peg, yes. Pete's daughter is here. Hope is here with us. I'm just running really
Who's
quick
that?
to see.
Hey, don't you want to know? You should know who that is.
It's Peg. It's one of the women who write.
Okay, it's a woman. Okay. It's not one of them guys.
No, it's not one of them guys. It's
not one of them boys, right?
It's not one of them boys. Will.
I'm sorry, I just slipped into dad mode. I couldn't help myself.
There you go. How old are your kids?
Okay, Jason's 38, Becky's 36, Whitney is 37, and Alex is 24, 25.
It's always the baby that gets screwed.
Yeah.
It's always
24,
I was the baby.
24.
Delson, by the way, yes, this show will be permanently. It will be on Facebook. I'll be posting it on YouTube tonight, and you will be able to watch. He said he's going to watch it over and over again. He's a cutie, this one. I hope he has great success.
You can't ask me about my grandchildren.
Let's hear about the grandchildren.
I
won't ask you ages or names. I won't
names I can do.
You got the names?
Names
Go ahead, you got to do
it.
Okay,
we got Nathan.
How old? Oh, okay. Where do they start?
Don't answer this. Nathan's the oldest.
Okay, oldest is good.
I'm going to stop there and work. I'm going to try and work down, but
okay.
I'm not sure. We got Nathan, Chase, and Hunter. That's
three.
Whitney's boys.
Okay.
Right. Then I got Liam, Lennox, and Logan. That's Rebecca's boys. Then
only boys?
Yeah. So 6 boys, right? And then Alex, my youngest son, he has Ziggy, who's the youngest. My youngest daughter, granddaughter. My youngest granddaughter. She's just coming up on a year. Oh. No, she just had a year. And then and Zion, that's his boy. And my son Jason, he has Zanya.
So you have 2
in
girls.
New Zealand.
Aww.
Yeah, Zanya in New Zealand.
Zanya in New Zealand. I love it. I love the Ziggy, the Zion, the Ziggy. Yeah, that's all really sweet. Are you a doting grandpa?
I love my grandchildren. You know, it's funny when you think in sobriety, when you're out there and then you get sober and you have all these ideas of what happy is. Mm-hmm. Happiness for me was I could be James Bond, right? That I could run around the world, make love to all these beautiful women, none of whom would get pregnant. Drink vodka martinis until I felt like it, you know. And if anybody crossed me, I could kill them, and nothing would happen to me. No police, no trouble with the police, nothing. No handcuffs. No. Now, the most important thing I have is my grandkids and my kids and my family and my girlfriend and my friends and
meetings.
Yeah, meetings. It's the most important things to me. I mean, I have this wonderful life, and you know what? I love playing music. I really. I've been delaying this knee replacement surgery. You don't have to talk about that. You know? In those, I've been delaying it because 3 to 6 months of not playing. I'm not ready to do that yet. So I get a wheelchair to go to the airports because I don't want to overstress the dang thing. I exercise by swimming. I can swim. I swim up to like 4 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
How often do you swim?
About 3 times a week. And
if you're on the road, do you?
I do. I find swim clubs. And go to swim clubs. And if I get in the zone with my earpiece in and listening to music, I just swim.
You can swim with music?
Yeah.
Really?
There's a company that they take the mini iPod Mini and they waterproof it. I don't know what they shoot in there. They put it, but it's completely waterproof. And then you get headphones that are waterproof. You clip it onto the back of your goggles, stick the headphones in.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm liking that.
It's great. I mean, you're just in there. Yeah. I was swimming the other day, and this Tell Her You Saw Me from that Pat Metheny album came on when I was swimming. It was just gorgeous and and then there's another song on there called Headed West, which is like When I got out of the pool, I called Pat's manager and I said to him, you know, you got to call Pat and tell him that I've been swimming. And Tell Her You Saw Me came on, and it was just really great to swim to. But when Headed West comes on, I don't know what the hell. I'll probably have a heart attack in the pool.
Oh God! Well, we've been talking for 2 hours.
Really?
We've been talking for 2 hours.
It's very enjoyable.
And
I hope we answered everybody's questions.
I think
Tom Petty good, George Harrison good.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton good. Duran Duran good. We got all those people who've done. Nile Rogers good.
I think that
Stevie Winwood good.
I think we.
Dan Stankus. I'd see him when I get home.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of.
Yeah, I think. Have you played at the Hollywood Bowl since your last show with the Heartbreakers?
No, but that's upcoming.
It is.
Yeah.
Who are you playing there with?
It's Booker T.
Oh, with Booker T. That's right. We'll be there. Pete and I will be there. You were worth waiting for, Mr. Ferrone, and
I'm sorry that I missed it before.
But you know what? I'm kind of glad there are no accidents, there are no mistakes.
No.
We would have had a very different kind of interview had you come the first day. It was looser because we've been playing on text since then. Every time I gave, Steve said to remind him a lot, so I started at day 11, and every day I would send Steve a text or say, "Okay, it's day 11," and then he would send me a gift. So he would send me these gifts like. Or, you know, things like, what? And then the other day
Who's this?
the other day he's like, I can't do that. And I'm like, what? He's like, no, I'm kidding. So anyway, but that sort of changed the dynamics so that today was able to be looser and more fun.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed it. And it's really nice to hear from young musicians that got questions about playing. And keep it up, keep playing music, you know. It really is a great way to make it. It is a real job. Yeah.
It is a real job for a real. Thank you so much,
Thank
Steve.
you.
And thank you, Pete. And Hope, thank you for being here with us. Like kind of boring for you, but thank you so much for being there and for helping us. And Pete, thank you. So we didn't talk to you, Pete.
Yeah.
Pete, what do you got, Pete? You got anything?
Nothing.
No.
Game show was awesome last week.
Pete hosted 18 game shows with some weird
Big
dress
corporate
person.
event in Fort Worth, and the week before that I did 6 shows at the comic strip in El Paso, and it was amazing.
There you go.
Amazing.
Can I say hi to my Heartbreaker family?
Will you please?
Hi Heartbreakers, how you doing? I miss you guys. Yeah. I really do.
That's really. Do they come out and see you doing other things and let themselves be known?
Sometimes they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who's this calling me?
Somebody's calling you. Next week we'll be back with Josh Sussman. Josh was a regular on Glee, and he was in Tangerine, and he's a fabulous actor. And he's a young actor who's young and kind of doing his thing. So it's nice to see young people doing their thing. Do you know Josh Sussman?
I love Glee.
Okay, there you go. Well, Josh, he looks like Larry from the Three Stooges. He has this crazy hair. I'll show you. But anyway, so yeah, we'll be back with Josh. We have incredible shows coming up. Rosalind Kind is going to be with us in a couple weeks, and I'm like totally like amazing people are coming on the show.
Jesus, 9 o'clock.
Right?
I got be up at 6 o'clock.
All
in the
right,
morning.
so we gotta go. Thank you so much all for being with us. You stuck with us through the whole thing.
Through
Thank you.
thick and thick.
Love you. See you soon.
Bye bye.